Hello and welcome back to another episode on the tutorial series on using modern WordPress. I'm Sam. I'm a developer and solutions engineer, currently with WP Engine, and I run some stuff on the side all around WordPress, and happy to have you here today. So what I want to focus on today is going through theming and specifically looking at the site editor and what that looks like and how to work it in 2024 and beyond. And you might have catched a previous video I did highlighting the 6.6 beta for WordPress, and all this is currently still relevant. Right now we are on WordPress version 6.5.4, which is still current as of June, and a lot of this will be relevant still moving forward, as this is sort of the design and development direction that we're moving forward with WordPress going forward. So I'm using the 2024 theme. And if I go back to the home screen for a minute, I'll show you how we got in here. All you need to do to kind of edit your theme is we go into our appearance tab and then click templates and then click our editor. And that used to be where the customize button used to be. And if you are using a non-block based theme, say anything from like a Cadence, old school Cadence, or Generate Press, or just old school sort of themes that just don't use a full site editor yet or aren't FSE compatible, that will read Customizer when you install them. So I want to go over a couple key little things here with this. So we're going to go through navigation, styling, and the style book, and then adding pages and sort of creating and publishing pages within the editor. And then hopefully, if we have time, we're going to go through templates and patterns, but we might need to spin that into a second video. So first and foremost, we're going to look at what is navigation in the full site editor. So navigation. On the left-hand side panel here, you'll notice a couple sort of core components to our design and sort of our makeup of our theme. And because we're using 2024, there is some stuff that comes out of the box. A couple default patterns, header, footer, and all the other sort of basic WordPress blocks like header, pattern, navigation, that kind of thing. If we click on navigation on the left-hand side here, we can go through and we can actually edit either our page list, or we can go and edit the navigation core blocks themselves. And you've got a couple ways to do this. You can actually edit the main navigation within the site, which is what I'm doing right now. And if I click on the page and sort of zoom into the page itself, this is more the familiar sort of WordPress sort of design that most folks will be used to. And this is just our block sort of header, and I'm going to add a navigation into our header pattern. So patterns are symbolized by the purple. So we have a couple blocks you can see here, so a couple group blocks, and then a footer pattern, which is just the site icon, the theme name or the site name, and then a couple of basic sort of footer navigation items, and then a design with WordPress at the bottom. Pretty box standard, but we don't have a navigation at the top, so we're going to add one. So if I go inside my group and I look and sort of drill down to my row, I can just drop this down all the way and sort of see my row and its settings. If I look at my block settings, it's sort of positioned into two sort of split elements with equal sort of spacing and equal justification between the two. So I do have a nav on the right hand side. That's just the basic page that I have, and I only have one page in this demo. But if I wanted to sort of click on this row here, you can see our navigation block. And keep in mind too, if you're editing a pattern, you are editing a lot of the theme itself. So if I edit this pattern here, and this pattern is in use on all my other pages, this sort of navigation block will be reflected on throughout my entire site. And there is a lot more flexibility with patterns too, and we'll get into that. But you can create some unique sort of styling within a site, so you can kind of break away from a default. So if you do have a sort of a single page application design, and you have one nav for that homepage and the landing page, and then the rest of the site is sort of navigation designed differently, you can do that quite easily. So I'm going to edit this, and it'll come into the default sort of pop-up sort of navigation template. Now you see we're purple, this is our pattern, our nav sort of template, and we only have one page. So I'm going to add after, and I'm just going to add some fake URLs because we haven't got any other secondary pages. So I can just add a type of URL. So I'm just going to put instagram.com, and then I can go either click the plus here, which will do a link after it, or I can click the 3-button menu like so, and then click add after. It does the same thing. And I'm going to click meta.com, Facebook, and then click again. And then we're going to do wpengine.com. And then I bought a domain today, so why don't we do godaddy.com/au. Done. So this is our navigation, and it's pretty basic and not styled. So if we look at how do we make this sort of give it patterns and properties, individually you can style the individual links and labels, but it's easier if you want to have a sort of design that's inherited on the parent element. You can just click navigation as so, which is our parent sort of element, click on our styles button, and we click browse styles, and you can sort of apply some of the master styles here that are part of the global styling, which we'll get to in a minute. If we go back, you can change individual items and the like as well, but we're going to probably keep this normal for now so we can get into drilling down to sort of what the bulk sort of styling patterns look like. And if we look at sort of individual elements, so let's highlight everything, and then we're going to space it all out. So, right, and we're going to go from our sort of buttons here. We can look at our navigation menu. We can click on our create block theme settings, which is a part of the plugin. This is our global styling sort of setting, but if we want to still focus on the block, we're going to click on the settings panel for the highlighted block, and then we're going to click on the block itself in our menu, navigation menu, and we're going to click on individual sort of sub icons that way. And we can edit spacing and the like here as well. Some basic themes, we can fit their size, we can fit the fill, and you can apply this globally through all the other individual individual align items in that sort of navigation. If we click save for now, we're going to update our core navigation. You can see on the bottom left, actually if I move my head, you can see down here that says site has been updated. So I'm going to move my head back, and now, so that's navigation in a nutshell, so editing it. By default, it will have these basic sort of properties, and it is locked a part of the template. If you went through and edited your main styles for the navigation, you can actually do that and create some really sort of out there sort of designs. This is pretty basic in terms of the actual navigation block itself, but you can sort of really expand what it's capable of, as well as add individual CSS too as well, and we'll get to that in styling. Next up, in terms of global styles. So I touched on this before, but if I click on this eye here and we go back, we're looking at what our style book is. So this style book is right now what your theme will look like with the current theming and design settings. And these are edited through the theme.json, as well as in the actual editor itself, and then saved in the database as style properties. So if we look at, for example, what our media looks like, some default sort of patterns. Our gallery has images that drop from bottom to top to bottom. Audio is pretty basic embed cover blocks as well, which we all used to the WordPress cover block. You can kind of see again, if we look at our design tab, what basic buttons look like, some call to actions, column spacing, whole kit caboodle. Again, you can kind of as well see here, if we're touching on our theme, the reason why I didn't change any theme navigation is you can see within our theme, what our theme nav looks like, and it is pretty basic. So we can actually change a lot of what this is in our style book, and it will apply globally throughout the theme. So if I click on my navigation, for example, I want to change the size to large. Let's change my appearance to sort of a semi-bold. I want to add a touch more spacing. And then I want to change my letter casing to all caps because, you know, loud and proud. And I want to save that. That then adds it as a custom style, but is saved across the entire site because it's within our site book, style book, which is pretty cool. And that's personally one of my favorite features about the full site editor and block themes in general, is you can have a few ways to really create some really powerful styling. Other things you can do with the style book as well. If we go back to text, see what our default font, sort of our heading sort of spacing and sizing, our paragraph blocks, maybe if by default we want to change sort of our default text coloring, so you can change it to orange as well, and you can see everywhere that paragraph block is used, it's changed it. So there's a paragraph block here, as well as in the quote block and the paragraph block itself. So you can kind of see it's been applied globally, which is quite powerful. Media, same deal. If I want to go through and I want to expand on click and have that sort of blow up when I click on it, I maybe want to add a duotone filter on top of it. See, that applies to all my images because galleries are made up of image blocks. So if we're looking at the core image block, you can apply some pretty nasty duotone colors against it, or clear it to revert it back to default. And you can kind of see how far you can drill down into global styling. And there is still individual styling, and we'll probably get to that in a second episode. But again, the style book itself is kind of like your designer's sort of dictation in terms of what the theme will adhere to when you are building out components, blocks, and what styles those blocks will inherit to, which is pretty cool. Revisions as well. Styling revisions, same sort of deal. The next tab over from the style book is the revisions tab, and you can see everything that I've changed in the last 5 minutes or so that we've been recording, and all the changes that I've made. So I changed my default styles. I changed my paragraph and image blocks, which hasn't been saved, which is a nice feature as well. It will tell you if you're doing everything in one go, hey, maybe you should save. And there's no clippy to tell you when to save. So it's a nice sort of revision for you and say, hey, save this. If I click save, again, saved as a custom style, and we can see within our revisions, same deal, 1 second ago. I changed my paragraph block styling. I changed the default styles with the 2024 theme, and I can always revert this if I wanted to. If I want to just undo that, you can just click on the block. I say I can apply that and go through and change it again. I can go back to my styling, reset to defaults, and done. Everything I've just done the last couple minutes has just been pulled back, and we're now back to the default 2024 theme, including, if I go back to our theme, including our navigation that we blew up, including our widgets and all our other media properties, which is pretty cool. So that's sort of a brief overview. If we look at pages now, if we draw back to the click on navigation on our WordPress sort of theme, we'll go back to the last page we were editing, which is our very basic theme now, which has been re-edited. If we drop back from navigation, we can go to pages, and you can review changes manually from here as well. So if I click on change, it's my customs change for my navigation style blocks. I can just cancel that. I'm not going to do anything with that for now. But you can create pages directly from the editor now, which is an amazing feature. Personally, you don't have to have another tab open or, go back to wherever we were before. That's a 502 error. Whoops. If we go back to, what we used to do in the past, which is have a page open and then click, create manually page it. Stop. 1, 2, 3. Personally, I find this feature really cool. You don't have to do what we did in the old days, which is have another tab open and then create pages manually. You can create everything within the single editor, which is pretty powerful and pretty cool. For example, if I want to click the plus page, I will call the page title, I will call it a contact page. And let's create ourselves a quick contact page using the block editor. You can kind of see it's inherited our core template that we're using before. This is the page template. So it has the site name, our nav. You can see that's the nav that I created before with all my links in it, and the footer. And it's inherited those two bits and pieces. You will notice though, because I create a page, I can't edit still my header components. If I wanted to go back and edit these, I would need to save this page, go back up a step, and then edit the core header component and footer component, or create a new page type that had a different header and a different footer, which is different again. So I want to make a basic call to action block. So I want to create a block manually. So I'm going to create let's create a group block, and we're going to have a full size group block. And then inside my group block, I'm going to have a row. And then in my first row, I'm going to have an image. And then I will insert from URL. Let's just do Google Maps. Oh, actually, no, Unsplash. And we're going to find a quick and easy image of Sydney. And we're going to take this. No, that's a Shutterstock link. And we're going to try, oh, that's a nice one. It's got the Sydney Harbour Bridge in it. We're going to download that image. And then we're going to Media Library. And I'm going to drag in my new image that I just downloaded here. Done. And once it's uploaded, we're going to select it. And then we're going to go to our next component in our row. So we're going to click plus. So one thing you'll need to get used to is by default in the row setting, it won't actually have the second item available in the container, you do have to actually provision the second item. So see my row tag, I'm highlighted to my plus here. You can click a plus on the outer side and this will create an extra item in the content block. But if I want to, on my row, see the plus, and depending on the image, you actually might not see it. So this is a little bit of the gripe some people have with the block editor. Some of the controls can be a little bit different. But if I click plus and I want to add another group block, helps if I can spell it properly. And I'm going to add a top to bottom sort of container, and I'm going to have a header in this block. And then underneath, if I go back to here, I'm going to go lorem ipsum, oops, spell it properly, ipsum, and then press enter, and it's provisioned me down a step, and I'm going to have a lorem ipsum again. Ipsum text is cool. And then I can adjust the settings for my image. I'm going to space it out accordingly, and I still have the styling options and the block controls. So if I click on the settings on the right hand side and click styles on the block, this is the individual block styles. I'm not editing its global styles. I'll set it to fill. I'll have it some rounded corners. I'll make sure the aspect ratio is square, just because I want to make it look funny. And then we're going to set it to contain within the block. So that should space out nicely. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to select our second stack, and we're going to have it justify items in the center, a line in the middle, and then we're going to have items filled out justification. Nope, asterisk. Fill, go fill. And now if I look at my block and I try and edit this on tablet, there we go. It's filled, and go mobile. It's got a stack. Oh, well, there's our first bug. There you go. So I need to edit my styling settings for mobile. Better not ship this. But if we look at our desktop, we've got a pretty basic sort of featured image. We're going to add this again, just for the sake of it, to fill the spot. And then we've got our call to action button under this. I'm going to add button. Remember from the earlier lesson that if you press paragraph and you press slash on your / on your keyboard, you can actually quickly provision a button as well, or anything like it you highlight. So in my case, it's a button, but if I went, slash again, I could just add something after it. Or for a block like a button where you don't have a paragraph option or text option like we saw in the header, I can just press enter and it creates a new block in that section. Some blocks don't allow you to have that function, so like the images that we saw before. If I click on button, the parent block, click plus, it'll just insert another item within that block. And if I go back, it can insert it again globally within that that stack. But I'm just going to say contact me here, and I'm going to add in my L2, and that's my email address. Done. So now that acts as our mail-to link, which if I click on that, I'll open my email client. And that's our basic, very simple call to action block. If I click save, done. Now right click, I want to view this site. Of course, I didn't put my contact page into the header, but I'm going to manually navigate to it. And here we go. Here's our contact page. And that's basic styling, our templating. We've created a contact us call to action block. We've created a very simple, very basic sort of stack as well, using the group and row blocks, as well as edit our navigation. If I wanted to go back and add this page to our nav again, I just need to go back to the main sort of control tab on the left-hand side, drill up a couple steps, go to my navigation. Okay, so last little thing we want to do with our contact block is we want to contact page is we want to actually save it because it's not technically published. So if I want to be able to save this page, I do need to publish it. So if I click on the settings for the page and I click status and I click publish and then save, now the block is the page is accessible globally. It's actually showing up. It's actually a template as well. If I look back up here, if I go to our navigation and I edit our nav and I click on here, there, our contact page is shown up. So quick little note as well for everyone that you do need to make sure if you are in this setting, you do need to make sure if you're creating pages, by default, they will save as draft. You need to make sure that you edit pages with the FSE, that you save your page and publish it. Draft pages won't show up in the navigation. So quick little hint. Good to remember that one. So that will end today's episode. I think we're going to go on to templates and patterns in the next episode. So have a look out for that. I should publish that soon. And we're going to pick up where we left off and just create a custom pattern, edit it globally, and then create some styling for it, and then pattern parts and go through lastly the command palette. So if you have any questions, hit me up, let me know. The email's on the screen and in the link below. Bit of a fast and loose lesson, but hopefully you've learned something about colors and the style editing and the global styler and the style book. Please do hit me up if you have any questions about it. Note for folks, I'm releasing a theme hopefully in mid to late July called Apollo. It will be available for free. If you want to check it out, let me know, and it'll be on my GitHub. So look out for that, and I will talk to you later on. Have a great day.